friends. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Erin, and I am so happy that you decided to take time out of your day to spend with me because today we are doing the mid-year book freak out tag. And I'm so excited to be finally doing this with you guys. And so, yeah, let's just hop right into it because we're going to do a lot of talking today. And yeah, let's go. So, we're going to start out with a little chit chat about goals and also about some statistics, and then we'll get into talking about the actual books individually. So far in 2024, I have read 40 books, and the average rating of those 40 books is a 3.75. And I mean, I'm not mad at it. It could be worse, but I also feel like it could be better. So I'm hoping that the second half of the year gives me more highly rated books and not just so many mid books, because I feel like this has been the year of me reading mid books, and I'm over it. I'm ready to be done with it. So yeah. And unfortunately, I have only had 4 5 stars this year, and that is just breaking my heart. So my first 5 star of 2024 was Bring Me Your Midnight. Had to change the angle a little bit. Okay, anyway, so my first 5 star of 2024 was Bring Me Your Midnight by Rachel Griffin. This is a YA fantasy romance. My next 5 star was The Atlas Paradox by Olivia Blake, and this is the second book in the Atlas series, and that is an adult fantasy dark academia book. My next 5 star of the year is Faybound by Sarah L. Arifi, and this is the first book in the Faybound series, and it is an adult fantasy romantasy. And then my last 5 star of 2024 is a very recent read, and that is Honey Witch by Sydney J. Shields. And this is an adult cottagecore cozy fantasy romance. Alrighty, so now we can talk through my 24 books to read in 2024 and kind of see where I stand with that. So when I do my 24 in 2024 or any of these types of lists, I like to split it up between books that are already on my own TBR and books that will be new releases for that year. I think this kind of gives me the best chance at completing the list because, of course, I'm going to be trying to make it through books on my own TBR, and I usually try to pick the ones that have been on there the longest, and that kind of forces me to try them out and read them. And then for the new releases, it's just 12 of the most anticipated for me. So let's get into it. I was fortunate this year that we had an even number, so I got to split it up equally. And for the own TBR, we have 12 books. New releases, we have 12 books. So for the 12 for my own TBR, I have read 5 of those. And I'm proud of that. A win is a win. I am proud to have read these 5 books. I am only one behind because this kind of means I would need to read one a month. And yeah, but I am doing great. Way better than I thought I would be. And as far as the new releases, the same. I've read 5, and I am very proud of myself for that as well. I think I'm doing good. I've read 10 out of the 24, so I feel like I'm on track to be able to complete this goal this year. So I'm really happy about that. Okay, so my questions for the mid-year book freakout tag may be a little different than the standard questions because I felt like some of them didn't really apply to me, and there were also some other things that I wanted to talk about and include, so I just kind of mixed and matched and made it my own thing. The first question is, what is my best book of the year so far? And I have 2, and they will be no surprise because every opportunity I get to talk about these books, I am taking it, and I don't care if you're sick of hearing them. And I'm going to continue to talk about these books all year, and they will definitely end up on my top books of 2024 at the end of the year, and I'm super excited about that. The first one would be The Honey Witch. I knew that I was going to love this book when I read the synopsis before it even came out, and I'm super excited that it did not disappoint. I loved the cottagecore vibes, the Regency vibes. I don't even like bees. Like, I'm deathly afraid of bees, and I enjoyed reading about the bees, learning about the bees. I love a good witchy story, and yeah, this just gave everything that it needed to give for me. And my second best book of the year so far will also be no surprise because I haven't shut up about it yet, and it is Faybound by Sarah L. Arifi. Y'all, I don't know what she put in this book, or I ate it up. Like, I absolutely loved everything from the first page to the last page. And I'm not saying this book is without its problems because I do feel like, we do have a few things that I would have liked to fix, but I just love the story. I love the world that she's building in this, and I cannot wait to see what happens next and how we continue on in this story. So this will definitely be in my best books of 2024 as well. Next up is my best sequel of the year so far, and this is going to Glow of the Everflame by Penn Cole, the second book in the Kindred's Curse saga series. And y'all, this book and this series has been taking over BookTube, so I know you've probably heard about it, but if you haven't, it's about a girl, Diem, and she is a healer in the mortal world. We have mortals and we have descended, and her mother goes missing basically, and she kind of has to take up the role as the descended healer so her brother can stay at the special school that he attends. And so I'm not going to say much more, but there's a twist and turn around every corner. And I promise you, if you can stick through Spark of the Everflame, the series really picks up and Glow. Like, I can't even believe that these belong to the same series. Moving on to new releases that I have not had a chance to read yet. And this list is very long. So for this, I'm going to go with The Wren and the Holly Library by K.A. Lind, and I just am really super excited to get into this. This book is beautiful, and that just makes me want to read it even more. And I love a library setting. It's going to get me every time. So I'm super excited to pick this one up. I think this is an adult romantasy, and I think it's inspired by Beauty and the Beast. The tagline says she broke the monster treaty and he'll make her pay. Sounds good to me. So I'm definitely really excited to get into this, and I'm hoping it'll be next month, but we'll see. And then we also have Blood at the Root, and this is by Ladarian Williams, and I am super excited to get into this one as well. And basically what we've heard about this is that it is black witches at an HBCU, and that's all I needed. That's all I needed. So I think this is a YA fantasy. Also on this list is The North Wind by Alexandria Warwick, and that's the first book in the Four Winds series. And this is actually also inspired by Beauty and the Beast and the myth of Hades and Persephone. And I have never been a Beauty and the Beast girl, so I don't know what is happening, but all of a sudden I want to read books inspired by Beauty and the Beast. Maybe it's the library setting that is making me want to read. I don't know. Southern North Wind is a standalone, enemies to lovers, slow burn fantasy romance, and is the first in a series of standalones that will be sprinkled in with Greek mythology. And I am a Greek myth girly. I love to read the retellings, so this sounds like right up my alley, and I am super excited to get into it. Our next question goes along with this, and that is, what is my most anticipated releases for the second half of the year? And there are so many, but I think the two that kind of are at the top of the list, we have The Games Gods Play by Abigail Owen, the first book in the Crucible series, and this has been described as Percy Jackson for adults meets the Hunger Games with a slow burn romance between a contestant and Hades himself. And of the Greek myths, I don't know what it is, but I just love reading about Hades and Persephone, so I'm usually going to pick up books that deal with them. And then next we have Immortal Dark, and that is by Tyja Skirma, and this is the first book in the Immortal Dark trilogy series, and it says that it is the Cruel Prince meets Ninth House in this dangerously romantic dark academia fantasy where a lost heiress must infiltrate an arcane society and live with the vampire she suspects kills her family and kidnapped her sister. And yeah, this sounds like it's gonna eat. We got black vampires in a dark academia setting. That's all I need. And to keep the list short, I'm gonna stop right there because my plan for this channel is to release anticipated release videos each season. So I've already put up my summer anticipated releases. So if you want to know about those for June, July, and August, make sure you go check out that video. And then I plan on putting out one for fall and winter as well. So keep your eyes peeled for those. So our next question is, what was your biggest disappointments of the year so far? And I have two. And the first one is The Roommate Risk, and that is by Talia Hibbert. So I read through the Brown Sisters series, and I just wanted more of Talia Hibbert's writing because I really enjoyed it. And so I picked up The Roommate Risk, and I did not rate this badly. I think it was like a 3-star, But I was disappointed because I think the lowest that I've rated one of Talia Hibbert's book is a 4.5. So a 3 was definitely a large dip. I just really disliked the main character Jasmine, and I know that she's supposed to be unlikable, and I know that that's what Talia was going for, but girl, you did too good of a job. Like, I could not stand Jasmine, and I felt like she didn't really deserve Raul, who is our love interest. And like, when a book makes me root for a man, I just, that doesn't sit right in my spirit. Like, don't make me root for the man over the woman. Like, that's just wrong. So yeah, that was my main problem with this book. I just felt like she knew that he was always going to be there and kind of treated him as an option, and I'm just not a fan of that. So, and my next disappointment was Late Bloomer by Maisie Eddings, and I was super excited about this book when I first heard about it. It's a sapphic book about a girl who wins the lottery and then she goes to buy a flower farm, but the farm is being occupied by the owner's granddaughter, and she feels like this is her farm and she has a right to it. And so there's this whole debacle, and then of course they end up falling in love, and those opposites attract. And there was also neurodivergent representation in this book, so I was super excited to get into it, but it felt a little flat for me. Like, I didn't really believe the romance. Like, it didn't feel, something was off. I don't know what it was, but I don't know if it happened too soon, or maybe it was the combination of them bickering and then going straight into like, oh, you get on my nerves, but I love you so much. Like, I don't know. But something just wasn't right as far as the romance to me, and I didn't believe it. So this was about, I think I ended up rating this a 3 star, but like I said, I just had higher hopes for this book. So let's talk about how I just filmed the second half of this video and the microphone was off. Yeah, I know it isn't even the word. So let's try this again, and I will now be glancing down at this microphone every 5 seconds to make sure that it is still on, because I cannot do this for a third time. Let's get into it. Let's talk about my favorite relationship slash favorite character, because I think they kind of go hand in hand, and they both belong to Outdrawn by Deanna Sage. And so my favorite character from this book, wait a minute. What? No. My favorite book, my favorite relationship, and my favorite character comes from Outdrawn by Deanna Gray. And my favorite character is Sage, and they are Noah and Sage make up my favorite relationship. And so let's just talk about it. So Sage is me. I am Sage. I think I knew Deanna Gray maybe, and she kind of based Sage off of me, because like, how you do that? What's your real name, Deanna? No, I'm literally just joking. But I do feel like Sage is me. We have a lot of the same things going on in our lives. Sage is someone who has trouble asking for help. She is used to taking care of everybody. Noah and Sage are so sweet, and Noah was willing to ease Sage into it and, let her know it's okay to ask for help in a way that wasn't like condescending or anything like that. And dang, camera was crooked. I am having every issue possible today. Like, just let me film this video. Noah was very caring, and she was patient with Sage, but she was also like, look, if you're not going to let me help you and you're not going to let me be a partner in this relationship, what are we doing? Kind of opened my eyes to maybe how Lex felt about me at times, and how it could be frustrating to want to help and to be there but not have the person allow you to help them. So I think this was really cool, and the rival aspect was super cute. I love a little competition, a little competitive edge. It was super cute with them being rivals to lovers and working for the same art company and then competing in a competition against each other. So yeah, I really loved Noah and Sage's relationship, and Sage is definitely my favorite character that I've read so far this year. But I also want to give a shout out to the Sultana from Reign and Ruin, because she was a bad bitch, and I loved everything about her. I loved how meticulous she was. I loved how she planned and how she thought out, and she was a politicker. Like, my girl could have made it and won the Game of Thrones. Like, she was on it. She was not letting this council of old men like tell her what she was gonna do. They was like, "You gonna get married?" She was like, "I ain't get married because I don't want to get married. I don't have to. I don't need a man to rule." And she stood on business, and I just think, I love to see characters like her. Yeah, I was just really surprised and excited to have a character with a strong will who could stand on her own and was just a baddie all around. Moving on to books that made me happy, and we're gonna have a repeat right here, and that is Outdrawn. This made me super happy when I wasn't in my feelings about, seeing some of the stuff the sage was going to and how close it was to things that I have experienced and am experiencing now. Their romance was just so sweet, and I just really enjoyed getting to go along with their story. And yeah, it was just really sweet and cute. But then we also have A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. I had a really good time with this book. It combines some of my favorite things, which is why I feel like it made me happy. Like, this is a very pretentious book, in my opinion, and I love reading things like that. I think Oliver Blake does this really well too with the Atlas series. Like, you feel like, I feel smart reading these books, and I love that. And I like reading about history. I'm not like a history girly per se, but I love reading about history, and vampires and witches are two of my favorite non-human creatures. So I just had a really good time with this. It has been described as Twilight for adults by Becca in the Books, and she was spot on with that description. I just really had a good time with this, and in this world it was just a great combination of history, suspense, romance, fantasy, all the things into one, and I just really had a good time with it. Let's talk about my most beautiful books that I have purchased so far in 2024. And first up, y'all, I hate the feel of this book. Like, it gives me the itchies, and like, ugh, to touch it. So this is going to be very brief, but I think it's beautiful. I just, the texture is horrific. And that is Lure of the Wilds by Annalisa Brana. Like, this is a gorgeous book. Like, I absolutely love it. Hold on. The mushrooms on the back and on the spine are super cute. I am a mushroom lover. And then, of course, just the cover. Like, look at them. Hold on. I gotta swap it again. Look at them. They are so beautiful. This is just a great cover for sure. Okay, I'm putting that down now. Ew. And next up, we have a book that I don't even know if it's out in the US or not, but I had the hardest time trying to find it. So I had to scour Pango Books for a copy, and I ended up being lucky enough to get the Illumicrate version, which is also gorgeous. But the standard edition is pretty as well, and that is The Principle of Moments by Esme Jakimi Pearson. And y'all, this is such a gorgeous book in my opinion, and I just had to get my hands on it, and so happy that I was able to also get my hands on the Illumicrate version. Maybe I should move my hand. So yeah, like, the end pages are gorgeous as well, and I just think that it's hard to do this one-handed. I just think that this is a very pretty book, and I am super excited to have my hands on it. I don't even know when it's coming out in the US, but I love that cover too. It's essentially the same as this, but it's a warm color palette instead of the cool with the blues and purples. It's red, oranges, and yellows. So the next question talks about books that I want to read by the end of 2024, and honestly, there is an exhaustive list, an impossible list, a Delulu list even, of books that I would like to read by the end of the year. But I am going to talk about four, I can't count, four that I really, really, really want to get to, and I'm definitely going to make it a priority, and we'll see if it happens or not, because I feel like two of them are more realistic than the other two, but hey, it's my Delulu world, and I'm going to live in it. First one is Silver Under Nightfall, and I've been meaning to get to this book forever, but I wanted the paperback version because You might not be able to tell, but I'm going to tell you I am a paperback girly, and I will wait for books to come out in paperback before I read them, just because like I love a floppy paperback. It's easier on my wrist, like, Anyway, that's not even the point. This book is about vampires, and I think there's polyamory. Like, that's all I needed to know was polyamorous vampires. And some of my favorite booktubers have read this book and really enjoyed it. So now that the second book in the duology is out, I'm ready to get into it. And then we have a book that I have been seeing around booktube for so long, and I've been seeing it in stores for so long, but I just decided to pick it up, and the series just finished, so I'm hoping that the paperbacks will be out soon and I'll be able to binge it. And that book is Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse, and this is the first book in the, I think, Between Earth and Sky trilogy. And first of all, this cover is absolutely gorgeous, and I have really been trying to get into like my sci-fi fantasy just bag, and so this sounded really interesting, and I've heard nothing but good things about this book and about this trilogy, and so I'm really hoping that I can get into it and that I will be a part of people who love this. And then we have two books in the same world, and this has been sparked by season 2 of House of Dragon being out. So I want to get into a Game of Thrones. I have started this book and got like 200 pages in, and then I just put it down because I had other priorities. I've watched Game of Thrones through countless times, so I feel like, it wasn't something that it wasn't a priority necessarily because I kind of know what's going to go on, but I wanted to read through this series and see what the differences were with the show, and seeing, what they decided to change, what they decided to keep. And yeah, I'm really excited to get back into this world. Game of Thrones is probably a comfort show for me. I'm just really excited to be back with Jon and Arya because those are my favorite characters, and Dany, except for last few episodes of the last season, but we're not going to talk about that because it doesn't exist. But yes, ready to get back into this world. And then, like I said, House of Dragon sparked this, so why not read the book that inspired House of Dragon? These books are heavy, y'all. My wrist is like buckling. Like, I'm not weak, bitch, but it's feeling like it. I want to read Fire and Blood, and this is a history, basically a history of the Targaryen family. And y'all, I have been just eating up House of Dragon, and I'm super excited that we're finally getting the second season. If you're not Team Black, what are you? Why are you here? Team Black only. My girl Ray Ray is like, I don't know, Ray Ray and Dany, like, I don't know which one I love more. But anyway, I do want to read this and kind of, again, see what they changed, what they decided to keep. And y'all, George R.R. Martin, like, his brain, like, how did you create this expansive ass world and then give us, I think this is like 300 years. I might have made that up. I don't know. But like, then to give us history books on your world, like, that is crazy. Like, his brain, his mind. And then, last but not least, there are a couple of books that I would like to reread this year. And so I wanted to talk about those as well. So the first book that I want to reread this year is The Davenports by Crystal Marquis. And this is a YA historical romance series that has been compared to Bridgerton, but it's following Black siblings instead. So we're in the year 1910, and we're following the Davenport family, and they have a carriage company, so they are well to do, especially for this time and for Black people. So I am wanting to get back into this because the sequel, More Than This, comes out in November. So I feel like a reread is in order because I think I read this at the beginning of 2023. So it has been a while, and I want to revisit it because I had a really good time with this. And then, in the same vein of rereading the first book before the sequel comes out, I want to reread Assistant to the Villain. And I know that people either loved this or they hated it, but I was on the side of love, and I want to revisit Evie and revisit the villain, and also revisit our little frog friend. I can't remember his name right now, but I absolutely loved him and his little signs, like, cutest thing ever. And yeah, I think Apprentice to the Villain is supposed to come out in August, fingers crossed. And I just really want to refresh myself before diving into that one. So, this book, y'all better not judge me, but I had a really good time with this book, and I just kind of want to dive back in for like a comfort read, and that is Neon Gods by Katie Robert. And I know that this book is also like you either loved it or you hated it, but I loved this book. I wasn't expecting groundbreaking literature. I was expecting a spicy fun time, and that is what I had with this book, and that's what I plan to have again when I reread it. And that is it, y'all. Thank you so much for going through my mid-year book at what? I'm tired of talking. Remember, this is the second time I am filming this. But thank you for riding with me while I talk about all of the books that I've read so far this year in 2024. Let me know what your best books of the year were, what your biggest disappointments were. And I can't wait to see you in the next video. Thanks again for watching my mid-year book freakout tag. Got it right that time. And I hope you have a great day. And I can't wait to see you in the next video. Bye.